John Center RASC meeting. It's September. I hope you all had a good summer. From what I've seen from pictures people have done, seems like an exciting summer. You want to get rid of the office thing, Randy, and talk about the election of officers coming up?
Okay.
Or you want to? Okay.
The October meeting is our annual general meeting. That's where we have our normal reports, membership, finance, president, etc. As also we have our, if needed, election of officers. As the nomination committee, I'll be contacting all the present office holders to see if they're willing to stand again or if not. And then I'll also approach the general membership for any interest and try and cobble together a slate. We find a slate works very well at the meeting, solves having to call for nominations and seconder, which is very difficult to do on a Zoom. I don't know how we'd even do that. So then we just vote the slate. So for democracy, we have to allow for nominations at the meeting. So that's it. You have to be a fully paid up member to both run and to vote.
And show graphic of, this is a picture taken of Neowise. And you see that?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So this picture was taken by Chandra Mooley in July. Okay, what's a comet? Comets are probably, other than interplanetary dust, comets are probably the most numerous members of the solar system. They're leftovers from the formation of the solar system. They're basically little chunks of ice and dust. A lot of them are out in what's called the Oort cloud, which is a region, a spherical region around the sun, hundreds of astronomical units in size. An astronomical unit is the distance between the Earth and the sun. These chunks are smaller than a kilometer up to tens of kilometers. Comet Hale-Bopp was some 40 kilometers, the nucleus, the chunk. And so it's ice with lots of dust, and it didn't get particularly close to Earth, not even an astronomical unit, but of course we all remember, or some of us remember, Comet Hale-Bopp was astounding, naked eye. Neowise turns out to have been the best comet since Hale-Bopp, and it's also a fairly large chunk of ice, dusty ice, maybe 5 kilometers. But this graphic is a cheat sheet. It's got some facts in it. Comets, again, are in the Oort cloud. They're sort of minding their own business for millennia out there, and a passing star or something might gravitationally nudge them out of their orbits, and they'll fall towards the sun. And when they get close to the sun, say within a couple of astronomical units, they warm up. The ice starts to blow off. The sun's UV starts to break down carbon monoxide, which is an easy molecule to split, and you get a blue tail forming, pushed back by sunlight. If there's lots of dust, it's released when the ice melts, and the dust is pushed, well, falls back behind the comet as it's moving. So you see there are two tails here. Neowise was a big enough comet to display two tails. A blue tail, I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor on the screen. Moving?
Yes.
Oh, there you go, perfect. A blue tail, which is actually glowing carbon monoxide. It's actually CO+. It's carbon monoxide with an electron knocked off of it. And that's pushed straight back by sunlight. Actually, it follows the magnetic field line from the sun straight back. The molecule is very small. They respond immediately to magnetic fields. The dust falls back along the path of the comet. And as the comet gets closer to the sun, the path of the comet and directly away from the sun can be in very different directions. So in general, the ion tail and the dust tail point in different directions. We had a bunch of comets in the spring. You might remember all our attempts to photograph these painter comets, and they kept disintegrating. We kept thinking they were going to be big showstoppers. This one didn't disintegrate, thankfully. And what is Neowise? The comet's actual name is C/2020. C for comet, 2020 for the year it was discovered, and then F3 for the comet in 2020. In this case, F3. It was discovered March 27th. This is the day after my wife's birthday. Neowise is the near Earth orbiting wide imaging survey satellite, I think. And it's up there looking for all kinds of stuff in the near infrared. And it found this thing. It finds comets all the time. There are lots of comet Neowises. This is the most recent and possibly the most famous. It got well within an astronomical unit of the sun in mid-July. So it was really cooked. Everyone thought it would fall apart. It didn't. And instead it came out around, became an evening sky object for us in later July, and boy, did it show off its colors. It's tremendous. I like to point out that in medieval times, we thought that comets were associated with pandemics, and they're bringers of pestilence and disease.
Yeah.
I'm baffled that no one in the press has called this the COVID comet yet. But anyway, it's pure coincidence. It's a lovely object. It has no knowledge of what's happening on Earth, so there you go. Something for us to enjoy while we're isolating ourselves. What else can I say? The coma looks greenish in photos.
Only at the end. Only at the end, though, right?
Sorry?
Initially, it wasn't, right?
Well, usually most comets show a green coma around the nucleus. The nucleus is the chunk.
Yeah.
Coma is sort of a spherical region around it, maybe, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of kilometers across sometimes.
It didn't seem to be apparent until, like you said, latter part of July to see the green.
Yeah, when it became an evening comet. The slides will talk about that, Randy.
Okay.
Sure. Well, certainly the coma inflated a lot. Around the nucleus is actually sort of yellowish. Right? Gary, you commented early on that they were seeing sodium emission, and the sodium emits thin gaseous sodium emits when it's excited by ultraviolet light in a very particular yellow color. So there's the yellow. You can think of yellow streetlights. The bluish color in the coma is from C plus carbon molecules, or carbon ions. I'm sorry, diatomic carbon molecules, and they emit in what are called the swan bands. Anyone doing spectroscopy of comets, and maybe Gary, you have a spectroscopy image of a spectroscopic image of the comet. Interesting fact, by the way, if you have rainbow glasses and you are curious to see swan bands, turn on your propane range and isolate a little blue flame and look at its spectrum. You'll see more or less the same bands, those carbon bands. Propane flame spectra and comet spectra are similar in some regards. So that's it. They're chunks of ice that normally, there are trillions of them. They're normally out in the Oort cloud, and if they're nudged by gravity, they fall in towards the sun. If they're nudged a few times, they may end up in an orbit in the inner solar system. We have periodic comets like Halley's Comet and a bunch of other named comets. Halley's Comet returns every 86 years. That's an orbital period that's much less than the outer planets here. So it's orbiting in that part of the solar system. It's almost like an asteroid. And this one is periodic too. They think it'll return in about 6,800 years. So its orbit is very long and narrow and elliptical, not circular at all. Halley's Comet is a bit more circular. And a lot of comets just come in, they see the sun once, they either blow up or they disappear, and then they're off, and you'll never see them again. So, visitors from deep space. That's it.
Thanks very much,
Questions?
Chris.
Okay.
If you got any questions, please put them on the question thing or the chat line. I think Dave is monitoring that. Are you, Dave? The questions in the chats. Was there any questions? Any questions come up?
Oh, there is one other picture I think I wanted to show. I don't know if you can still see this or if you switched off my screen. Have you switched off my screen?
You switched off your screen.
Oh. Okay, well, I'll try and switch it on again.
Answer your question, Gary. There's no questions yet.
Okay. Hubble Space Telescope took a picture of Neowise. And can you see that?
Yeah, we can now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
It looks like the sun tonight.
This is, yes, smoky. Possibly not that different, really. Smoke particles and dust particles, cometary dust particles, are probably not too dissimilar. So here the nucleus is, again, a 5-ish kilometer chunk, which is too small to resolve by Hubble. But you see two jets, cones of dust flying out left and right. The comet is ostensibly rotating about an axis like this, so it's rotating this way in that picture, and the jets are coming out this way. So yeah, August 8th was when this picture was taken. It's apparently the closest picture, closest, most resolved image of a comet that Hubble has ever photographed. So this tells you that it's a small chunk, so it's still not resolved. You can see the jets. No, I'm done. Fairly sure. So questions?
While I got you there, Chris, in the news, there is Venus has possible.
Phosphine. Oh, yes.
You want to do a quick thing on that? I'm sure people are interested, wondering, should we go to Venus because there may be life in micro things?
Oh, don't go to the surface of Venus. You'll die a horrible death. This is all in the upper clouds. Yeah, the exoplanet people. Some people might remember Dr. Sarah Seeger. She visited Memorial a couple of years ago and talked about extrasolar planets. And she's a big name in the papers and in this discovery. The exoplanet people, the ones that are looking for biosignatures, we're only barely able to do spectroscopy of a few of the biggest of exoplanets as they pass in front of the star. We look at the light filtering through their atmospheres. And people are looking for signs of oxygen, because oxygen doesn't normally last in an atmosphere. It goes into oxidizing things. And it's usually depleted by natural mechanisms. So oxygen, at least on Earth, is a sign of life that makes oxygen, plants. Or the other molecule is a version of ammonia called phosphine, where the nitrogen is replaced with a phosphorus atom. Phosphine is produced by anaerobic life, like bacteria, things that don't use oxygen. They create phosphine. Phosphine, like oxygen, won't sit in the atmosphere. It's depleted by many, many natural mechanisms. So if you see phosphine in an atmosphere of a planet, it means it's being generated on the fly continuously. There are all these papers on detectability of phosphine in exoplanet atmospheres, tens of light years away, et cetera, how big a telescope, how long, how many hundreds of hours of exposure time. And someone decided, you know what, let's just point the telescope at Venus as sort of a test. And wham, they saw 10,000 times as much phosphine in the upper clouds of Venus as can be explained by natural processes. So that's a really strong indication that something is generating pH3, and bacteria are a prime candidate. On Earth they are anyway. The phosphine in the Earth's atmosphere comes from anaerobic bacteria. These are bacteria that do their thing without oxygen. Lots of those at the bottom of the ocean, for example. Yeah, so they're all very excited, but this does not mean that there are birds or lizards flying around in the upper clouds or anything more sophisticated. It doesn't even necessarily mean there's bacteria. We won't know for sure until we send a probe into the upper clouds and actually look for bacteria or whatever right there. Seeing a gas is one thing, but you can't necessarily conclude it's produced by critters unless you see the critters. And so I think that's where we are with that right now. Very exciting. So next time you look up at Venus, you can smile and say there may be anaerobic bacteria up there in the clouds.
Yeah, it's lower middle clouds, and the temperature of the clouds I heard was between 20 and 80 degrees Celsius rather than the 278 on the ground.
Yeah. If you go up from the ground, it gets cooler and cooler until you get to space. And
We have a couple of questions here.
Okay.
About could the bacteria have arrived from Earth?
That's called
Possibly
panspermia.
probes.
And yeah, they're talking about panspermia between Mars and Earth too. Microbes, or Earth to Mars, microbes possibly surviving inside small meteoroids. So there's a certain amount of, certainly there are meteorites from Mars hitting Earth all the time.
Yeah,
And,
but I have to disagree on Venus because they were doing the mathematics on the possibility of Venus meteorites hitting Earth and Mars hitting right, and Mars meteorites hitting Earth is very common, but because of the distance from Venus to the Earth, it's very unlikely that we'd receive meteorites from Venus. So I don't know if it goes the same way from here in.
well, we've certainly been battered by large chunks of rock too, billions of years ago. There are all kinds of huge craters on Earth. They've just been covered in and eroded and so on. So we've blasted stuff out into space. And while there's been life on Earth too, like the Yucatan Peninsula, the impact that killed all the dinosaurs. That blasted a whole lot of jungle out into space, or the remnants of it. So these sorts of things, you can imagine. I guess I'm really not sensitive to the likelihood, and the likelihood's always very small, but it only takes once or so. It's plausible that it is a theory. It's called panspermia.
Yeah.
Panspermia, I think, yes.
Yeah, it's too early to speculate on that at all. That's what they said at the conference I was looking at yesterday.
Okay. Fair enough.
From the Royal Astronomical, they had all 4 people who wrote the paper, and that was the big thing. They didn't want to speculate on that as such. It may be, but it's
sorry.
But it's it's out there.
If we collect material from the clouds of Venus and are able to do genetics on it, if in fact it has genetics, and if the genetics are similar in any way to anaerobic bacteria here, that'll be the answer. But probably not until then will we know.
Yeah, there's 4 probes now being sent to Venus, but none of them have been contacted by this group. But now I guess they are going to be contacted. I should say the private one, I did contact them and quite interested in sending a probe. So that'd be quite interesting.
Yeah.
That's the latest I heard from today's announcement when I was watching it.
I didn't even know about this before 2 days ago, so.
There's no, hardly anybody. I mean, as soon as the paper came out. Any more questions, Dave?
No, that's it for now.
Okay. Thanks very much, Chris. Greatly appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. Now, if we get you to stop sharing.
Find my window.
Okay. So let's go on. Like I said, at first on Friday, I thought we were going to have no images, but obviously there's lots of people out there taking pictures, and I'm really glad that people have brought in the pictures, because we've got pictures of everything that was happening this, not just Comet Neowise, but that's the main theme. I got it there now.
Perfect. Okay, good.
Can everybody see the screen now?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep.
What I did last summer. Okay. So what I did last summer, I'm quite surprised at what people were doing last summer. Comet Neowise, why does it matter? Comets are thought to be leftovers from the dawn of the solar system. Learning more about their nature could help scientists piece together answers about how our part of the science formed, or how our part of our space formed, and even water was delivered to Earth billions of years ago. This photo is by Randy Dodge, of Randy Dodge's photo that made the news. That was the first picture that he took, Randy?
It was important to get it out to the media because there was, summertime's great viewing. A lot of people didn't know what it was going to look like, where to look. So this was, one of the first nights. We had 2 or 3 very, very early mornings on Signal Hill that weren't productive, but eventually it came through. Yeah. It's not the best photo in the world, but certainly it shows what you're looking for.
Okay. Okay. Comet Neowise did change color, possibly due to the dynamic carbon C+2 coming from the vents in the nucleus, plus sunlight coming, plus the sunlight turned it green. So in the morning, there was a big increase in sodium, and it had a yellow color, as you can see over here on the left in my arrow. A nice yellow color, coma, and then in the evening, a nice green showed up. And that was produced by the CO2. So in spectrums, this is one I took of the nucleus. There's the nucleus there, and there's the spectrum and the thing. You can see a spike in the CO2 plus here, here, and over here. There's the sodium line right here, which was, I've seen other ones, and it was up this high before it went around the sun. So that's where we got our yellow color, and this is where we were getting our green color. Okay, and that was just shot with a 5-inch camera and a Rebel Canon. Okay, James, are you there? Now, I've got a little problem here, guys. I can't get my, oh, 1 second here now. I don't see James on the list. Anybody see James's name on the list?
I see a Jamie.
No, I don't think so.
It's Jamie.
James Kennedy.
Actually, check the chat. Yoo-hoo, James, is that you?
He hasn't replied.
Oh.
Has he replied?
Nope.
Anyway, he used 12.5-inch scope. I guess that's what he wrote his I guess that's what he put his camera on. It's a 10 to 30-second exposure, ISA 16. I looked at them in Photoshop Bridge, looking for the effects, and probably used 7 or 8 exposures, he said. Then stacked them in DSI using 10 darks frames. Took the same night exposure. And this is it, his picture. Very impressive. You can really see the ion tail.
Absolutely.
Beautiful, eh?
Lovely. Jamie says Jamie is here. If Jamie is
Okay.
James Kenny, then lovely picture, Jamie.
So it is Jamie. Okay. You want to talk on it, Jamie?
Okay, you got me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
yep.
You tricked me. Instead of using
So,
James,
sorry about
you
that. I
used
was
Jamie, you
muted.
see?
Yeah. I was here trying to chat away to you and I was talking to nobody. Yeah. Yeah, so that was just a single frame.
Okay.
Wow.
It wasn't stacked or anything. That was just a single frame. And it
So you
was,
gave me all this information and you only sent that picture.
yes. Yeah, so no, there was no stacking involved with that. I just did a little bit of post-processing on software on the iPhone just to upload it to you guys.
That's an iPhone?
Yes.
Wow.
No, the picture was a Canon,
Okay.
a Canon Rebel XSI, and had a 1.8 50 millimeter standard portrait lens on it, and it was a 15-second exposure. I think the ISO was 800, and yeah, it was stationary. So yeah, I just got lucky with good seeing conditions and pretty dark sky. And so I uploaded that to my phone and just did a little bit of post-processing to try to bring out the ion tail there a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, and you can see it pretty good there. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with the outcome of that.
Lovely. So when you say LX, a 12-inch LX as the telescope, your camera was riding piggyback, was it?
No, it was not. That's not me. I don't know where that's coming from. No,
Oh,
it was just a camera on a tripod. There was
okay.
no telescope involved in that picture.
Okay, I didn't think so.
That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gary, you must have your texter must have confused me with another photo there.
I guess so. Like I said, a whole lot of them came in. So
Yeah.
thanks very much, Jamie. Excellent
Yeah.
photo.
Beautiful shot.
Thank you.
And thanks for clearing it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many pictures do you have, Gary?
Oh, there's a lot to go through, man.
Well, can we not spend 3 minutes per?
And you're the biggest. You're the biggest offender. Start.
Well, I don't know that we need to talk about every picture that's there. Is that on the screen? This is one of the early ones. So
This is your message with this one. I thought it was kind of cute.
Those are morning shots, are they, Randy?
Yes, they are.
They're from that morning up in Signal Hill, Randy, are they?
yep.
This
I
one's
recognize
July
the
the 8th.
clouds.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a number of people up there with varying equipment. Todd Baker, was there with his star tracker. I hadn't seen one of those around. He seemed to certainly know what he was doing. Nikolai had a friend there as well, myself and Craig and a bunch of people. We were trying to socially distance. I'll try to make this short, but just to prove how bad that could be. People couldn't see the comet. I could see it certainly in the camera. So I just take a 2-second shot just to show them. And before you know it, someone is reaching over the top of your shoulder to have a look. So they weren't socially distancing. So, and that was
This is
the
your first
first night.
evening shot?
Yeah. Can you see where it is?
Right there?
Yeah.
Between the clouds?
Yeah. Even over the city, right?
Oh, this is a nice one.
I sent that to Astro Attic, Tim in Germany. He included in one of his videos. That's ISS.
Oh, okay. Gonna say a GeoSat.
Oh.
Of course, on the original, you can actually see the tail and stuff, and the ion tail too. So
You had luck on August the 12th, 13th?
yeah, the picture doesn't really do it justice. That one there was a barnstormer. That was huge. Broke up on the back and everything, and you can certainly see Cassiopeia there, and Perseus there too, right?
Right in the thing, just down from. Ooh.
They announced today officially new sunspot cycle started.
Don't fool me.
Supposed to peak in 25, which should make the 24 eclipse quite prominent, I would think. I've been experimenting with my camera, and I find it difficult to get focus since I switched to this little mirrorless, and I've had to buy another adapter with a shorter focal. Anyway, this was from the June. Myself and a few people decided to try and reproduce a picture, and I used an app to try and find out where the moon would rise. And as you can see there, the moon was hiding most of the evening. And to get the picture we want, we need about 1,300 millimeter focal length, and to be about 3 kilometers away. So I call these framing shots. So
That's a beautiful shot. I love it when the clouds goes in front of the moon. I think it adds to it myself.
Yep.
Beautiful
Mhm.
shot. Okay, thanks, Randy. Now we're on to, this is a, oh me, this is a time lapse. Just to go show how fast you had to be able to get some pictures taken because it was low in the horizon at that time.
Yep.
Cute.
Into the trees. Nice.
Okay, Chris, I think this is your first morning shot.
Oh, good Lord. I took better than that. But anyway. Oh, okay.
Says it was a 1 second exposure.
Yeah, that's up on Signal Hill. That's, yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This Venus next to it?
no.
Over here a bit more.
Yeah, I think well,
Mhm.
well to the right, I think. Yeah, Venus in 1 second. Yeah, the lens I had still needs to be serviced. It wouldn't go out of autofocus mode. And of course, the sky's so dark, it's hunting all the time. So I think I jammed the switch at one point and got it to stop autofocusing, and turned out to be reasonably okay. Anyway, yeah, the comet, you could barely see it naked eye. Before driving down to Signal Hill, I got up a little 15 or 20 minutes later than I wanted to, and I looked up in the sky in the right place, and I could see it easily. But even with the light just starting to brighten, it was harder to see when I got to Signal Hill. So hence the reason the photo looked bright. This is from Lady Lake. Oh, thank you for holding some of my pictures up. Cabin out in Lady Lake. You can see there's a little geosat flare right there, yeah. And saw several of those over a few nights. So that's looking, of course, northish. The comet was pretty much naked eye at this point. No problem at all. Really. So these are all the 30-second exposures. I shot a
What date was that, Chris?
and I made a movie, but I never showed anyone the movie. Yes?
What date was that, Chris?
Spent a lot of time at the cabin this summer working on a construction project. I forget the exact date. It's a weekend. Mid-late July, July 20th-ish.
Okay. Yeah, because it's the 20th when I took my shot.
Okay.
Thanks, Jamie. Okay. All right. Okay. This one is by Nikolai from his house on New Gower Street, and it's right there.
Mhm.
I thought, to get up in the morning to go to work, a little bit of cloud, and actually pick it up, and the street itself. That's really nice, I thought.
That's a cool picture.
Okay. This is John. I think John's with us. See if I can get him here.
it looks like
Can you
Cape
talk,
Spear.
John?
Is it Cape Spear?
That's Signal Hill.
Okay. Oh yeah, morning shot. Okay.
Yeah, the ladies lookout, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, looking towards that.
Okay, so that is your voice. I'm hearing John.
That's, yes.
Okay. That's a beautiful shot. Was that the same time as the other boys were up there that day?
I think it might have been a day or two later. There was nobody else there taking pictures when we were there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't long after that became a nighttime comet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have one of your nighttime shots here you can talk about.
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, there we go.
Yes, yeah, that was one of the first times we saw it at night.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful framed shot.
We weren't sure how long it'd be visible in the night, so we started snapping pictures to make sure we got a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty low there.
Yeah, when it was first shown. Okay. Thanks, John. Greatly appreciate sharing your pictures. Okay. that Bernard's with us tonight. Anybody seen Bernard on the list?
Haven't seen him, no.
Okay. This is one of the ones he took through his telescope, which is a 12.5-inch Meade, or 12-inch Meade, from his observatory just outside Lewisport at 2:47 a.m. in the morning using his Pentax, mounted on his telescope. Nice wide angle shot. I shouldn't have said it was true to 12-inch. It was mounted on.
247, that's pretty dedicated.
Yeah. I'd say it was up to the cabin. You can really see the yellow color in it, which was typical of the morning. Did you notice that? Did you, Randy?
Yeah, like I said, we didn't see any green early on, right?
No.
And I point out too the two stars right in the tail, which show up in a lot of pictures, right?
Yeah. It was really interesting. The spectrum of the early one of the tail and the head showed a lot of sodium in the coming out of the streamers and stuff like that. It wasn't until like after it went around and became an England one that the C+, 2+, started turning it green. Okay. Oh, 1 second here now, Jim. I'll get you back. How come?
So unmute Yolanda's entry.
Pardon?
Turn on Yolanda's.
Yeah, I'm trying to, okay, she's allowed, she should be able to go now. Are you there, Jim?
She's muted.
Okay, I'm
There you go.
testing. Okay. So my summer was basically one of trying out a new optical telescope assembly, which is this telephoto lens. It's a 500 millimeter telephoto, and on the left there you can see one of my early summer rigs with a guide scope and so on. So that's what I'm doing. Some of these photos were taken with that setup. And on the right, you can see through this particular 500 millimeter telephoto lens, this is the full moon, and this is what it looks like through that particular telephoto lens. And I'm using a Sony full frame unmodified camera for this particular shot. So you can, next slide. This is my attempt to get Comet Neowise, and I don't know if I put both of, anyway, one of them was made with a 300 millimeter telephoto. I think that's on the left, and then on the right, I don't know if that's mine or not, but
Both of them are yours. Yeah.
they're both mine.
Yep.
Are they the same shot?
This one was done. One was done with more photo, trying to get rid of the falling off.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's what your thing says.
anyway, the better shot is on the left. So I believe that was taken with the 300 millimeter, which is a little wider view, and you can see the faint ion tail there. Okay, next slide.
I put both of these on so that people can see the wide shot and your close up.
Very good. That's excellent. So what we have here on the left is is actually an accidental mosaic. What I was doing was I was taking the nebula on the left is M16, or the Eagle Nebula, and it's iconic for the pillars of creation that the Hubble Space Telescope shows. So I included a close-up of that on the right-hand photo. You can see the pillars of creation right there. Thank you, Gary. And so it's intense star-forming regions in that particular nebula. But halfway through my exposures, my telescope decided to do a meridian flip, and I didn't realize that I was looking at a completely different part of the sky. It still looked like I was getting nebulosity, so I kept clicking away. And as it turned out, I was accidentally got the Swan Nebula, and that just showed how far off my polar alignment was. But I actually got two nebulas for the price of one that night, and I spliced these together for my left-hand shot. So that was my first mosaic.
That's
Just-
astounding.
Anyway,
I
so
missed,
there- so
I
there you
missed that
go.
it was a pointing error that resulted in two for one. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
that's-
in the
that-
telescope.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. So it was one of those oh darn moments. But it worked out in this case. It was actually that was spliced together in PixInsight. Next slide.
Oh, darn, this is twice as good as I intended.
This is my first what I would call a narrowband filter shot. This is the Optolong Eye Enhance filter with my modified Sony A7 camera, which is sensitive to H alpha. So this narrowband filter passes two bands of light, the H alpha, which is the red, and the O3, which is the teal color there. And this was the very first shot I took. This is the Cygnus loop, and I almost got it framed properly. There's the eastern veil and the western veil, and I can't tell which is which because I don't know which is east and which is west. But I think the top is, no, I'm not even going to try. I don't know. So,
Top is west.
what's that?
Top is west.
Okay, very good. So that, so right is north, or no, it's left is north. There we go. Anyway, so it's got this strange color, basically a combination of red and teal. Next slide. I think that's it, maybe for me.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Lovely shot, by the way.
Oh, 1 second.
So actually, I think you got two pictures, but this one was actually the second night. So this one was just July 2nd, and I had the DSLR sort of piggyback on my refractor on the mount, and just kept taking pictures, and over sort of 10 or 15 minutes, the comet sort of moved from on top of the telephone pole down the wire and then disappeared in the trees. So this was July 22nd. So just using the kit lens on my DSLR. And the other one was probably through the telescope if you've got another one there.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
that didn't blow up very well, but that's July 21st. And so this one was using comet tracking in DSS, and that's why all the stars are trailing a little bit there. So that was 18 frames. I think half a minute each frame, and ISO 3200. So that was the night before. That was July 21st.
Okay. Yeah. Now, 1 second here. Oh, see if I can go back here. Oh, sorry, Mike. See if I can get back. Where am I here? All right. What I did here, Mike, was show yours and mine, just to show the seeing and the difference between an 8 and 11. You want to talk about your? Well, you want to talk about your picture, Mars?
Yeah, so it's using all my planet pictures are done with an 8-inch Dob, and using a with my DSLR on, doing sort of 10 to 11 second videos, but then combining sort of the best couple hundred frames out of about 5 videos. So they're all about 1,000 to 1,200 frames. So using PIPP to split up the video, and then auto stacker, and then a little bit of sharpening in Registacks. And the picture of Mars, it was fairly low, and so that's there was the sky wasn't great where I took the picture, but I was pretty happy to see anything on the surface at all.
Actually, these two pictures are pretty good, I might add. And this is, if it had been better seeing, I think yours is sharper. If it had been better seeing, you would have seen the white cloud right about here, I think it was. About, if you remember 2 years ago, NASA said that the volcano had erupted. And then since 2005, amateurs have been finding this cloud forming right here over the volcano.
Okay.
And I was looking at a picture today of the same day type of thing, and there was a cloud, so we missed it. If we had better seeing, we would have seen something more, Mike. This is really good, Mike. That's an excellent picture. You want to talk at that one?
Yeah, so the same sort of thing, about 1,400 frames through the Daub, and pretty aggressive sharpening using Registax. So I was, that's the best I've ever gotten of, well, pretty much everything there, but especially of the red spot and some of the structure in the other band.
Excellent. Oh, type of thing. We haven't
Right.
had great seeing with the jet stream. I've had better pictures than that. Okay, and this is Saturn.
Yeah, so that was the same night. Also lots of sharpening. So very similar, just using the Daub, letting the image sort of drift across the camera, and then just sort of picking it all out with auto stacker and sort of lining them all up.
Excellent. I just wanted to show you what you can do with this. And there's so much interest in these photographs for detail and stuff like that. Not just take them, but you should send them to the APLL, American, and they'll do research on them. It's really good. It's nice to help. Thanks very much, Mike. And how about this one?
That was just sort of after doing the Comet. So this was the first one, I guess, after I couldn't get the Comet, and I hadn't tried anything deep sky for months. So I thought I'd try an old friend.
Is there something
and
there?
So there's a big sort of fuzzy blob in the middle there. So that's about 25 minutes, 25 frames, so minute frames. You know, the processing, it turned kind of green on me, but you know, I was reasonably happy with that. So yeah, so this one, I used an 80 millimeter, an ED80 on a Sirius mount, which is like a 5, I think. It's like the mount that Jim Stacy has, but the version by Orion. And the Canon SL2 on the end of the scope.
Beautiful picture.
Beautiful picture, I think. Thanks, Mike.
No, thank you.
Our, okay, let's see if, Jim, are you there? Jim Johnson, are you there?
He's muted.
Well, he should turn off his mute because I got him opened.
Hello?
I think he's unmuted.
Oh,
now.
yeah, I can hear you, Jim.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so this picture here was taken on the night of
It's very low, Jim.
16th of July.
That's better.
I'll move my mouth closer to the mic. How's that?
Much better.
So
Oh,
I was fortunate enough all summer to be actually camping out in Central. So I managed to have about 36 nights under Bordeaux 2 skies. So this particular picture, like I said, was taken on the 16th of July, right at the front gate of Square Pond Park. They're just off the Trans-Canada Highway. And that's actually not far off from naked eye, what you could actually see of the comet. So.
And a dark site. You can really pick up the ion trail there in this one.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, how about, let's see, okay.
This was taken at the same time, although I switched the camera lenses for this one. This is taken with a 135. The previous one was taken with a wide angle 14 millimeter.
You can actually see the nice blue in the ion trail there. Really nice. Okay. Now what's this one?
This one was taken just after we got back from our camping trip, night before I was due to come back offshore. So that's actually just from my front step off from my house. I just wanted to see the difference between going from a dark site to an urban polluted environment, and it was quite the difference. You couldn't see it at all naked eye. You actually had to use binoculars to find it.
I figured out your way, CBS, it would have been a bit darker than in town, but
No, it was still pretty. This was the 21st of July, so it was starting to fade at that point too. So.
mhm.
I was gonna say
Nice. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, Jim, your bright skies, my dark sky. Here in the east end of St. John's, it's really bright. So, still,
Yeah,
yeah.
noticed that up our way now. Chris, I think it's even gotten brighter than about 10 years ago.
Well, and I guess looking that direction is even worse because you're looking over towards Conception Bay North. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Big Harbor Grace could have been the city. Okay. I had to consider this one because this just made me want to go out and observe when I saw it, Jim.
What night did I take this one? This one was taken on the night of July. Bear with me for a second. The 17th of July, out in Square Pond again. And actually, it was very cold that night. I think it got down to about 3 degrees Celsius. And this is only a stacked image of about 15 or so 2-minute exposures.
I guess that's Jupiter and Saturn to the left here.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, look at the reflection in the, you see the star trailing in the, I mean, you can even see the Milky Way. Beautiful. You do picture.
Remarkable.
You do.
Remarkable
Okay.
image, Jim.
So after seeing that, I wanted to see what you were looking at in the deep sky. So tell us what you did here.
So this image here actually was taken just after, probably about a week or so after Robert and myself did a collimation on my C11, Chris's old scope. So we wanted to check and see how good how good of a job we did. So this is a galaxy that Robert was always trying to get an image of. This is NGC 5117. So, and I believe we were both online at the same time when we were taking these images, Robert.
Yep.
Another one over here too. Water. Oh, beautiful. And I mean, geez.
And that was taken at the same time as the previous one, the same night. That's obviously M20, and that's in narrowband. Most people usually see it in RGB, so that's why the colors look a little different than what people are used to looking at.
So, oh, okay. I thought you had used the Hubble plate.
Yeah, that is the Hubble. That is the Hubble palette.
Yeah. Okay. So that added, changed the color a bit. You want to say something, Chris?
No, I was just going to say, so the Hubble palette is hydrogen alpha is normally red, but that's green in this image, correct?
Yes.
And oxygen is blue and sulfur is red, or I forget. I forget the order.
Sulfur is red. Oxygen is blue, and hydrogen is green. Yep.
Okay. I think this is a last one.
That one I took just my last trip just before I came home. That's the Iris Nebula, and I actually did an image of this last year, but I wanted to redo it this year so I could get some more of the dust in the background, which is the main attraction for this object. This was taken on the 20th of August, out in Central under dark skies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's maybe the last one. Nope. This is your last
So this is Saturn. This was taken back in June, 20th of June. And again, this is Hubble palette, narrowband.
So that's in Cygnus.
Saturn is just off to the right there, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cygnus. Yeah.
Gamma Cygnus.
Beautiful. Man, oh man. Wow.
Have to move to Square Pond
Well, that one's taken from my backyard.
or your backyard.
Yeah.
Okay, stop sharing. I want to thank everybody who took the time to send us pictures. Type of thing. I guess we're sharing our. So I want to thank everybody. I can't believe all the action that was going on, even though we were sort of isolated and we couldn't join ourselves together. A couple of us went out and did social distancing out at the park. I found that to be a wonderful night when I was there. Nice to chit chat with people who have the same interest. And because we're all doing film, we kept our social distance because we all have these tables and these TVs in front of us. It was pretty good. I have to say, I'm blown away at some of the pictures that we've seen. There were a few others, but I figured I'd have to cut it short. So I cut down some people's pictures, and I had told them that we'd have to cut them down because I'm sure Robert wants to say what's up in the sky. Don't you, Robert?
Certainly do.
Okay, take over.
Okay.
Can't hear you, Robert.
No, can you hear me now?
Very poorly.
Oh, how
Yeah.
about, can I turn up my mic?
You might want to invest in a headphone set, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah. Have you got a spare set over there?
You know the answer to that.
Yeah, you heard that.
And it's available on the website for anybody else who wants to see it, right?
Yeah. You see,
Yeah,
sky-
sure. Do
you see the sky this month on your screen?
Nope.
Watch out.
You got to press the share screen. Do you see it up on top there?
Yeah. I hear you. Everybody wants more money, right?
Yeah, well.
Okay, so the sky this month, September to October, this was compiled by Nikolai. Many thanks to him as right now he's enjoying his family visit to Bulgaria, I believe. So anyway, this is on our website, so I encourage anybody and everybody to go and have a look at it. It contains a wealth of information, such as what you see here in the solar system roundup. When twilight ends and astronomical viewing can begin, and that changes throughout the year. Also shows here when the planets cross the meridian, so the highest point in the sky, I guess, and the amount of illumination. And we can see here that the sun is currently blank, no sunspots, even though we are starting a new sunspot cycle. So I guess it'll be another while before any substantial amount of sunspots and prominences begin to grace views that we might have through solar scopes and whatnot. All night planets, Mars reaches opposition October 13th. So next month will be the best time. So it's getting larger and larger optically through our telescopes. And you'll be able to see more and more detail, certainly as that approaches opposition, when you'll see the best, provided, of course, the sky conditions allow. And just to note, I was out a few nights ago through one of my scopes, and I could see this band, and the solar cap through the scope, and it was quite interesting to see. So if you haven't had a look at Mars, you need to do so. Uranus and Neptune, of course, are ice giants, are quite a long way away from us, so they don't certainly look like giants through our telescopes. But nonetheless, you can still see that they are a disk, and respectively a bluish and a greenish color. And their positions in the sky would be, I don't think it's given here, but October 31st is the prime time for those. And certainly there's multitudes of websites that would show you where to look, and probably even towards the end of this sky this month. Evening planets, Jupiter, magnitude -2.4, which is quite bright. The more negative it is, the brighter, which is kind of like an oxymoron, isn't it? I've always, personally myself, wondered, why don't they have increasing positive numbers for the brightness? But whomever the ancient scientist was who created the magnitude scale did it in this way. So the greater the negative, the brighter. Perhaps somebody knows the story behind that, Gary or Chris?
You can think of it as sort of first rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank. The ancients couldn't see any fainter than fifth magnitude, and I guess we have 5 fingers on our hand. And first rank is like the brightest stars, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course, there are things brighter than first, but there weren't many of them, so they started the scale at first. It turns out that a magnitude difference is about a factor of 2.5 in brightness. But I think that's what I always thought was the reason why the numbers, higher numbers, are fainter. You can think of it as like you're 13th in line instead of first in line. You're not as important. You're not, you're not a higher rank.
Okay, there you go. You heard it first here. And here's a sketch done by Nikolai of what he saw through his scope at 150x. And quite interesting. Sketching is something that used to be done much more often, not all that long ago, but since the advent of digital technology, of course, it's kind of a art of the past, but quite a nice sketch nonetheless. And Nikolai has included a digital image of the same.
Yeah, I took that at the same time he was taking the picture. So
Yeah.
we were, Nikolai and I have decided to cooperate. He likes the idea of actually looking at a photograph and seeing what he drew. Was it there? And this really blew him away that night. So since then we've tried to coordinate our drawing and photography at the same time. So just to see what we can see. As you can see, the green thing is his festoon.
Yeah.
That's that thing sticking out. It's called a festoon.
Yeah. That's quite interesting that, it's exactly the same position,
Yeah,
planetary.
and the bump on the bottom and the bay. I was quite impressed.
Yeah, it's impressive. Thank you. Here's a nice image of Saturn, courtesy of Gary Diamond. I wonder who he is. And quite interesting in that you can see banding on the planet itself. In this image is quite good, Gary, and of course the Cassini division. You can make that out quite well, and the shadow that's being cast. So kudos on that.
I colonnaded after a week of saying, boy, what fuzzy things. I noticed when I was looking at the star, my collimation was out.
Yeah. Well, it looks pretty good there. If there was no ring, I guess we would probably include Saturn as just an ice giant. But I don't know if I've heard of Saturn referred to as an ice giant.
It's always called an ice giant.
Yeah, it's a gas
Is it?
giant. Bigger than that.
Say again?
It's a gas giant.
Yeah.
It's bigger than an ice giant. It's got a lot of hydrogen and helium in it, mostly hydrogen and helium, like Jupiter. It's just a smaller Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
only 8 Earths fit across it rather than 11.
Yeah. So how about the difference in gas composition between the ice giants and the gas giants then?
That's fairly considered. Well, there's still a lot of hydrogen and helium, but there's a lot of water. And I think if you go through, I'm not an expert at all. If you go through into the planet, there's a temperature range during which water is everywhere in the solar system. There's a lot of water that can exist. When they say ice, I don't think they mean solid like glacial ice. Someone correct me on this.
Yeah, but it's much colder nonetheless.
Yeah, and smaller. The giant planets have very hot interiors, actually. That's
Yeah.
why the clouds are so intricate, especially Jupiter's, because of very fast rotation and all the heat bubbling up from inside.
Yeah.
And nevertheless, they were surprised to see white clouds on Neptune and Uranus and so on. So there's still some heat bubbling up in there.
Yeah.
All 4 have rings. Saturn's just happened to be the most prominent.
Yes. And I think they're fairly, well, relatively recent as relative to the longevity of the solar system. I think the rings on Saturn are in the order of hundreds of millions of years.
Not even sure it's that long.
I'm not sure now, but I think there is some conjecture around how long ago that the moons broke up, or some of the moons broke up to create the ring system. But anyway, we'll move along.
Yeah.
We're not getting very fast here. Morning planets, Venus, quite bright, rises about 3 hours before the sun. And so that's an interesting visual apparition. Comets, well, you could see there are many more comets than this. These just happen to be some 4, is it 4 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the brighter ones. So you can, if you want to try to track these down, you can come here and have a look at the
Comet Howell may have some special note. I only heard about this earlier in the week. It's brightening. It might become significant. I haven't checked up on it, but
that will be interesting if it, that would be more than interesting if that happens. So there's one to follow right now. All the rest are fading here. So asteroids, 5 asteroids of fairly bright that can be located telescopically. They will only appear as points of light, not unlike a star. The only way to really know is to note their position over a period of time. And so you can see we have finder charts here for those if you so desire to chase them down. Meteor showers, next meteor showers is what, the Orinids, is it? No, next one is the Draconids. Sometimes I get a job to get the pronunciations out right. And then the Orinids. And then the Taurids. So, and the Leonids. So there's a few coming through, but the number of per hour aren't really that significant. Of course, this is a prediction. All predictions are based on the best knowledge that we have, but sometimes unforeseen things happen. So keep your eyes on your fries, as they say. Deep sky objects for September and October. This is a list that we keep yearly that can be an interesting little challenge to see if you can actually go out and find them all for both telescopic and binocular. And some are deep sky and some are dark sky. Well, they're all deep sky, but some you may have to go out of the city to pick them out. International Space Station, here's the schedule. And of course, you can get that online as well. All observing sessions are currently canceled due to COVID-19. They would be our official sessions. So we hope looking forward to that changing. Sooner the better. And here's our observing calendar. And here we can just see the phase of the moon when it occurs. So you can see, and the monthly meeting when that occurs. When opposition, which means the best viewing time or the brightest or the largest apparition for that particular object occurs. And new moon, which is when deep sky photographers particularly keep note of. And I think that might be pretty much it. Clear skies and keep looking up. Thank you.
Just a quick note, Jim Johnston pointed out that there's going to be an ISS lunar transit on the 1st of October, visible from CBS and Mount Pearl.
Let me know when there's one for St. John's.
You have to pack a lunch to go to Mount Pearl. Hey, Randy. Any
Two.
other questions or Dave that came in?
No other questions.
No points of clarity or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
We've got a question here, Mr. President. Mark Pippi wants to know if anyone wants to use our center's 10-inch stop. Mark has had it borrowed for a number of months, and he's acquired his own scope, so he's looking for if someone else is interested to borrow it.
So if there's anybody out there who wants to look through a 10-inch scope and willing to waste all his money once he looks through a 10-inch scope to have to buy a 10-inch because he can't go back to a small one, we have one there for you. If not, then it's in your way. You can always send it back to Chris, right, Chris?
Perhaps this is an opportunity.
Just cleaned out our garage. I'm happy if the big stuff stays in other people's homes, but Mark, if you've already got a replacement, yeah, sure enough, touch bases with me and we'll get it back.
Perhaps this is an opportune time for me to note that Chris sent me notes a couple of times or about a couple of people that have rented out the scopes, but we haven't, or at least I haven't received any of the money yet for those rentals. So if you have rented a scope and have yet to pay, perhaps you could either get in touch with me or Chris and make some arrangement. Perhaps put the money in an envelope or send a check to Chris.
Okay, I thought they sent the check to you.
Okay, where did it go to?
Well, anyway.
What about email money transfers? Is that an option?
No. When you get a new treasurer that wants to set that up or is able to set that up, you'll be able to do it. I can't, and I don't have a facility for it.
Okay.
Okay, well, send monies to me. I accept e-transfers, and Gary, I suppose I can cut you a check at some point.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to make an announcement about the October meeting and remind people to, we're always looking for new people on the executive. We're looking for new ideas, trying to find new people to talk, play interest. Other than that, anybody else got anything to say, or we'll call this meeting over? Vice President Dave, you have anything to say? Haven't seen any pictures.
No,
of Dave.
no, that's it for me.
Okay. Randy.
Nope, nothing.
Okay. Thanks for everybody for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate everybody who sent in their pictures. I couldn't get over some of the images, not only of the comet and how the comet changed, looking at the different dates and seeing the color change and stuff like that. And the images. Oh, I envy how you guys can point that telescope and get something. It just blows me away.
We would have had an image for you, Gary, but I thought it was only the comet that we were interested in, so I didn't send anything.
I said other things, Robert.
Yeah, that's you know, that's my my head. Was it seniors moments?
Okay. I get them a lot, so I understand now.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for coming.
Okay, good night.
Hope you've all enjoyed yourselves. I'm glad you had a good summer. Hope the fall comes good. And let's have a really good year this year of observing and really good meetings. And please send us some information and ideas to make this club your club and to make it more enjoyable. I mean, I find talking to people, I find the Talk NL to be fantastic. It keeps us more informed. You should join that. You don't have to talk on it. You can be just listening, and sometimes when you listen, you find out, oh look, someone's going out. I like to go out with them and stuff like that. It's a fun time. Take it in. And actually, a couple of members who have been too shy to show their work, or go up front and want to talk about how to build things, have done it on NL Talk. They've said, come to the hangout, and they showed us how they make their pictures. They showed us our equipment, so, maybe only 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 of us get together, but it's a great way to expand your club and enjoy membership, especially in this time when we have to be socially distancing. This seems to be the best way, and it really is fun time hanging out, isn't it, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love the way you're so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Looking
Take
up.
care. Hope you all have a good time. Signing off.
Bye.
Clear skies.
Yeah.